Okay, I guess now's as good a time as any to get started. Again, good morning, everybody. Mike Anderson here with American Independent Marketing, and joined by our crack team of experts in the area of all things internet and social media. We've got Aaron Kassover with us this morning. Aaron has done a lot of things to help insurance agents help them use the internet to grow their business. He's worked with companies such as United Airlines and General Motors, along with insurance firms like Allstate, Humana, and CNA. And spent the last 4 or 5 years working specifically with individual agents to help them take advantage of the opportunities that the internet presents. Jonas is the president of Rosa Resources. He's a member of the Echo Academy of Direct Marketing Arts and Sciences. If you've spent much time around long-term care, you're going to know Jonas's name because he's the guy behind the 3 in 4. He's actually the founder of the 3 in 4 Need More campaign, and I believe he's the national director, head man in charge. Also widely known for his work with Long-Term Care Financial Partners, a national agency with headquarters here in the Northwest. He was their chief marketing officer from their founding year in 2003 up until 2012. So all that said, want to take a minute and welcome everybody again. We appreciate your time. Aaron is going to kind of lead us off here this morning, and so I'm going to turn it over to Aaron and let him we're taking some time here out of our prep for the Seahawks victory parade next week, and so Aaron will lead us off here, and go ahead and let's do a quick mic check, and then we'll turn you loose, Aaron.
Okay, microphone check. Am I coming in okay?
You're coming in 5 by 5. Very good.
Okay, good deal. So today we're talking about social media, and there's certainly a lot of hype about social media, and I still see Facebook and Twitter stocks going up. Lots of press about those companies and the value social media brings to all of us. If we look at the growth of the number of users on those networks, it's huge. There's also huge amounts of hype that go along with all of this. There's tons and tons of hype about Facebook and Twitter. People give all kinds of stats about how many people join per hour, how many tweets are out there per hour. If you open up any trade publication, you're going to read about how Twitter is changing the world, and you're going to hear people saying how insurance agents must be on Twitter and you have to be on Facebook. But nobody really seems to give you the context of why. There's lots of hype, but not a lot of substance. And as a result of this, what we're seeing, and certainly what I'm seeing, is that far too many agents are reading the hype and jumping in and doing things the wrong way. And they're going at social media, marketing social media, the way that marketing has been done in the past, and not really thinking about how this is a new channel and needs to be dealt with in a new way. And so the goal today isn't to talk more hype. I'm not here to hype up social media. Jonas is not here to hype things up. We're here to give you a framework, a clear framework of how social media fits into selling insurance. We want to give you kind of the lay of the land, help you understand the different properties and players involved, and then give you some very simple, very direct steps to get started. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, a little more detail on today's objectives. The first is we're going to look at how social media changes selling. And second, we're going to talk about the 3 major social networks, and Jonas will walk you through the 3 different networks and how they're different and how you can use them in different ways. And then finally, we'll give you what we think is a solid game plan to build real, sustainable, valuable relationships with your prospects and customers through social media. So diving in, how social media changes selling. There's really 3 key points to this. The first is that your customers are now in control of your message, because everybody has a voice in social media. It's not like radio where just the DJ has a voice. Everybody has a voice. Your customers are able to talk about you and talk to each other and interact in a new way. And so they now control your message. It's no longer just yours to spin. The second is that because of that, we need to think about inbound marketing, where we bring people to us and we have them come and interact with us, as opposed to outbound marketing where we push our message to them. And then the third is that we need to think about marketing as a tool for developing relationships as opposed to as a tool for promoting products. So I'm going to walk through each of these in a little more detail. Let's talk about the first one, your customers controlling your message. Now, this is a really hard thing for insurance carriers to accept. We know that there's lots of regulations in the industry. There's lots of compliance requirements about how your message is controlled. And so as an industry, the insurance space has gotten really used to having very, very tight control on your message. Now, agents are at an advantage. I think most of you understand this much better than carriers do. And this is because you do have relationships with your customers, and you do understand how important referrals are to your sales. And so in the course of your business, you're already thinking about how can you get your customers to talk about your business, to promote your business. So I think a good way to look at this is to take a sort of a side turn and look at some other industries and see how in their verticals we can get an example of how their customers are controlling their message and how this is playing out. So what I've got here, this is a screenshot from Twitter, and this was taken last summer when there was that Carnival Cruise power outage where people were stranded out in the sea on a dead cruise ship for, I think it was like almost a week. And Carnival kind of stuck their head in the sand and didn't engage their customers, didn't engage the community at large on social media. And so everybody else on Twitter and Facebook just had a complete field day with them. And you can see this was just in a matter of 3 minutes, the tweets that were coming in about Carnival, not good stuff. And this had a real measurable negative impact on their brand and on their revenue, because their customers were able to go out to all of their own followers and respin Carnival's brand and Carnival's message in a way that Carnival didn't have control of. And so this was a really kind of an eye-opening thing. Now the same thing is happening this week. There's been a few cruise ships just in the past few days that have had flus spread through the ship. And if you go look at how they're handling this today, you'll see it's very different. They're actively engaging their customers on social networking. They are getting their customers to talk about them in a positive way. They are diverting the conversation back, understanding that their customers control the message. They are engaging them actively as opposed to sitting back and sort of hiding. Now, looking at insurance, this is this idea of inbound versus outbound. This is an example of an insurance agent who has gone to Twitter and is thinking of Twitter the same way they think of like a direct mail campaign, where it's just go out and push product, push message. And so this is somebody that has tons of tweets. They have 45,000 tweets they've pushed out over a period of time, 1,600 followers, but I can almost guarantee you that when they keep saying, buy car insurance, get car insurance, here's the way to get Michigan car insurance, save on car insurance, when they keep saying that, nobody's listening. They're just broadcasting out noise in the landscape, broadcasting out in the old way, but there's no quality, there's no relationship engagement, there's no reason to follow this insurance agent's words and understand them and engage with them. So this is what outbound marketing looks like when it's brought to social media. And you can really see just how silly it is here. Now one more side trip into another industry. Let's talk about the old way versus the new way of marketing. And we'll talk about an industry that's very far from ours. We'll talk about the world of condiments and ketchup. And we're all familiar with the brand Heinz, and you might remember that they have come out with a few products in the past decade of different colored ketchups and different shaped bottles, easy squirt bottles, and this funky purple ketchup. And this is a very established company that's very sophisticated in how they market, but they do it very much in the old way. And so when they want to launch a new product, the process they would go through is this. They would first do lots of market research. They would go and look at who buys ketchup, who doesn't buy ketchup, where there's space for growth, what that market needs, how they're different from their current customers. And they would then take all this data and spend months, if not years, in meetings, analyzing it, discussing it, debating it. They'd bring in all of their MBAs to look at their market research and look at all the data to kind of figure out a plan. Once they had an idea what to do, they would then pick a few markets and test market. They would go and roll the product out in a few cities to get some data to see what happens. And then finally, they would advertise like crazy to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And this process, if you look at what it is, it's risky. Because you are taking years to do this, you're not quite sure if you're ever going to get it right. It's tremendously expensive. It's time-consuming. It takes years. It takes meetings. It takes lots of people. And worst of all, it's full of flops. If we look back on companies like Heinz that do the old way of marketing, we're going to see that they have so many products they've launched that they had to pull back because they just weren't successful. Now, the new way, how social media has changed this, we'll look at another condiment company. This is a smaller brand who grew up in the realm of social media called Ole Kraut, and they're a sauerkraut company. And when they want to bring a new product to a new market, this is what they do. They go into Facebook, and they have a very active base of their passionate customers who they know and they interact with through social media. And they simply say, hello, everybody. We're looking to expand in Seattle. Where would you like us to see? And rather than having to spend years and millions of dollars to get this data back, in a matter of hours, they have real customers telling them where they shop and where they want to see their products, and they're able to get real, useful, actionable feedback about how to roll out new products in new markets right away that is 100% accurate because it comes from the people who buy their products. There's no need for a big market research study, no need for MBAs, no need for sales meetings. They can just go on to Facebook and interact with their customers and be good to go. And it goes even further than this. Once the customers say where they want to buy them, so in this case they said, well, we want to see your product at Whole Foods. So they then scheduled a meeting with Whole Foods to talk about getting their product there, and gave their customers the Whole Foods manager's phone number and said, could you call them for us and tell them that you want to see our product there? And so what they've done is not only have they gotten real data from their customers about where to sell their products, they were able to make their customers become their own salespeople. Now think about that for a second. If you can take a product or take what you're trying to sell, and rather than having to go and sell it yourself, if you can have your customers go and become your salespeople, that's the best position you can ever be in. That's what referrals are all about. And so you can apply this back to insurance. If you can engage your existing customer base in a way where you have a real relationship with them, you can then get them to go and become your own sales force. It's huge. Now, of course, the new way to market is low risk, or virtually no risk. It's inexpensive or free. It's fast. It happens same day. And it involves your customers through the whole process so they feel like they're valued, that they're part of the process, and they really have a stake in your success. So that gives you an idea of how social media has changed selling. It's really a different way to look at things, but it really is a very powerful way, especially for those of us that are small or independent, selling on our own, because we don't have to have big budgets to compete anymore. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to them. Yes?
I wanted to jump in with something here, kind of echoing what you're talking about. As Aaron said earlier, the customers are the message, or they're carrying the message. And we had a really interesting and compelling and powerful example of this week up here in the Northwest. As most of you know, the Seahawks are on their way to the Super Bowl. Alaska Airlines took it upon themselves to create a contest, and they gave away 56 sets of 2 airline tickets to New York, hotel nights, and they didn't get game tickets. But what they did is created a fan experience. They had, I was looking at their Facebook page, they had thousands and thousands of people that were commenting on the entire process and about how excited they were. There was not a dime involved for them in either direction, but they had people just, going on as fast as they could post, talking about how excited they were. Later they were disappointed, etc. And they were interacting with people, telling them, we just did the random generator to determine who the winners were of the contest. We're in the process of notifying everybody, and of course, interest went crazy on that, but it was just a tremendous opportunity. And what they did is for the most part, sat back and let the user, if you will, tell the story and talk to each other about what a great opportunity it was that Alaska had created. And they really sort of rode the Seahawks wave to a massive, what seems like a massive surge in social media popularity. And again, I mean, they had a little bit of an expenditure, but there was no revenue to be generated for them, but just a massive amount of goodwill here in the Northwest as an organization that made it possible for about 120 people to go to New York and to be around this experience that has everybody up here buzzing. So it does have a lot of positive upside and opportunity to it as well. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there.
A related story, Alaska Airlines this week has been letting anybody in a Seahawks jersey board early. And
yes.
So what they're announcing, if you're wearing a Seahawks jersey, you can now board. And people jump on Twitter and talk about that. And what's really funny is that Delta is the official sponsor of the Seahawks. And so Delta has paid millions of dollars to get to use the Seahawks brand in their advertising, and Alaska Airlines has completely circumvented that by using social media to spread their message, as opposed to trying to do the old traditional way of spending millions of dollars and advertising and outbound the way Delta was going at it.
Yes, and they created, it was, I think, 56 winners, 2 tickets apiece, so that's 112. And the brilliant thing was, what they didn't do is cram the plane full, because this is a flying tailgate party. Each winner and his guest has a row to themselves on the plane, so they have 2 people in 3 seats. And they created this huge opportunity within this thing, and they create this Super Bowl experience, and everybody's buzzing about it. And like you said, they co-opted the whole Seahawk experience. Delta flies them on their charter and everything else, but Alaska Airlines has totally, I know there's terminology for this that where you're hijacking it, but that's basically what they did. It was brilliant on their part.
Yeah, that's a another good example. So let's pass the microphone over to Jonas, and he's going to talk about the main social networks and how they're different and how you can use them in different ways. So Jonas?
I'm here, Aaron. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. Good morning. And as Aaron said, I'm going to cover the big three, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. But I want to step back just for a quick second, because I know, at least my experience working with producers, is that they kind of get a little paralyzed when you mention the word social media. It sounds scary, and it really isn't. And you've just heard of a number of different ways that these platforms have been optimized with the Seahawks. I'm sure that there are many of you on the phone that use social media in some form or fashion, but maybe not with your business, or figure out how to position your business in it that's not a way that you're overselling but providing a service. But if you just really step back and think about it, people have used the idea of a social network really loosely for over a century to explain, sets of relationships between members in social systems, so to say. We all have a social network. Some are larger than others, but we all interact with different people at different times throughout our days, and many people report that 60% of their business is done kind of through their spheres of influence. And so if you think about your social network, what it is now or what it could be, it's really a place that's going to allow you to meet old friends, find new friends, and reconnect in many ways. And the social network itself, or the media, or not the media, I'm sorry, the platform that you choose, the ones you're working on the most, is just a vehicle. It's a vehicle for you to provide information, and it's a vehicle for you to showcase the value that you can bring in the services that you offer. So to just give a quick overview of the 3 platforms we have here, the first one is Facebook. And, there's a lot of different ways to use Facebook, I believe, to create interest in your brand. But where most people are using it right now are reaching out, talking about their interests, what they're passionate about, showcasing some pictures of their family. What I find so impressive with Facebook is I think if you're active on it, you're kind of either active on it all day, whether you should be or not, but you at least know that you have a time in your day that you're going to go there. It's almost like if you have coffee in the morning and one after lunch, it's kind of in your mindset. It's part of your routine, so to say. Many people who have Facebook, it's the same way. They're checking it on their lunch break, or they're doing it at night. They're doing it, maybe at times they're not supposed to, but it's part of their day. And so what makes that so great for you is when you're able to find a way to get into celebrating the value that you offer on Facebook with your clients or with your spheres of influence, you're becoming part of their day. I know an agent that has on the back of his business card a couple sentences, and when he's done selling a policy of any kind, whether it be a critical illness or long-term care insurance policy, he turns over his business card and asks the person he just sold the policy to if they happen to be on an online network. And if they say Facebook, he says, great, when you have a chance, would you mind saying that you met with Jim Smith today and talked about a long-term care insurance policy and you decided to buy one or something along these lines, then post my website. You didn't have to ask for them to run and get their telephone book, give them 10 names of people he can call, and it wasn't intrusive enough. This person just trusted him with a policy, with something that's going to cover their long-term care needs. And providing them a couple short, quick statements and their website to post on their Facebook page when they found time, there's a big chance that many of the people he's presenting his business card to, that gives them word for word what to put there, is getting posted, and now it's going out to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands, talking about this is a trusted source to find, educational long-term care planning or products or something along those lines. And that right there became a vehicle. Facebook became a vehicle to spread a referral and not ask for information. Let them do it for you. So powerful. So think about that. There's one example for Facebook. How to use it, how to get in front of people and not oversell, because that way what you're doing there is you're letting the person you're connecting with, your sphere of influence, sell for you, refer for you. If we were to go to the next of the big three, Twitter, I always I like this reference. It's Aaron's reference, a cocktail party. You're following people that you're interested in. You're listening to what they're saying. You really want to do the same for yourself. You don't want to be a fire hose. You don't want to be just putting so much information out there, abusing the character limit, and just overwhelming your people. You want to be chatting about things that are relevant possibly to them, or that are a little softer in nature to your business. So if you happen to sell insurance, long-term care insurance, we'll stay on that topic. You don't always need to blast things about long-term care insurance. You don't need to hit crazy stats or scare tactics or things along those lines. Maybe offer some other great information. Maybe offer some information about something that's not in the insurance that you're trying to sell. Just become a source of information for these people. Let them know that maybe on your website you have tax forms or something along those lines to help them in the month of April or the months coming up to tax season. But provide short, quick, informational bites that are out there, things that you would like a reference at a cocktail party, and you'll find that people will start following you, and they'll start finding that of value, and then they'll start talking about your tweets to others, and you'll have more and more people following you. You don't want to oversell on any of these platforms at all. Now, my favorite, if you were to ask me between the three of LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, it's LinkedIn. I'm just a huge fan of LinkedIn, and I think it's because I really feel in my place of business, I'm finding the kinds of people that I want to work with there. But it's also another great place to go find out some information about people that you could be meeting with or that you just met with to build your relationship more with them. LinkedIn, what's so great about it is the way that it provides so much information. You're able to find out a lot about what's there and the people who are listed there. The average household income of LinkedIn people is over $100,000. It's much higher than that of Twitter and Facebook. So when you're looking to build spheres of influence, when you're looking to possibly align yourself with a business owner and talk to him about a worksite program or something along those lines, this is a place, especially forming strategic partnerships. It's the largest business networking site in the world. And there's a different mind shift when you're on LinkedIn compared to, its cousin sites like Twitter or Facebook. The mood changes. The messages are definitely more professional. The conversations are definitely more geared towards partnerships and transactions, opposed to, the pictures of birthdays and, maybe, tweets about the Seahawks or so on and so forth. It's much more centered around advancing careers, building businesses, and working together in the mindset of business. Everyone talks about the power of Facebook ads and things along Facebook, but I've just been a huge fan when it comes to LinkedIn and the platforms and what it provides there and how you're able to leverage those. So, you really want to think about that when you're out there figuring out where you're going to put your time and your energy, and to which one, if you're going to put your foot forward and start with one, which one's going to be best for, the type of business that you want to do, the type of image you want to portray, and just realize each of these is just a vehicle. And you just have to choose which one you want to get into and then figure out how you're going to connect it to your business and talk about yourself and your work history in a way that's not over-intrusive and that also provides value to its readers, because that's what the key is of social networking. When someone finds value into what you're saying or what you offer, they offer it off to others. So you don't need to constantly be pounding on as a marketing message. What you want to constantly do is keep communicating value, valuable content. So if you happen to have, once again, a great document, a great article, you've written a great guide or something along these lines, let people know, and let them know in one of those three vehicles, because then they'll let other people know once they find the value in it. Now, you have these three big social media platforms. You're working in all three of them or one of them, but you want to know, where do they live? And really, you know what? The home base for all your social networks needs to be on your website. This is the place where they live. Your website is your storefront. It's your 24/7 place. This is where you get to showcase who you are. This is where people get to connect and read about you specifically. This is where you want to shine, where you want to talk. And we also want people to come back. You want to have your social networks be based on your website, because once again, there's really, that's the place that's on they have all places. You're going to give one person one form of communication today in today's digital world. You give them your website. Why? Because they can find everything there. They can find your email. They can find what you look like. They can find your bio. They can find your social networks. They can find out specifically what you do. You just give them your phone number, all they can do is leave you a message or talk to you. So if you really have to think about it, that's your home base for your business. And that's where you want to put all your engaging information. That's where you want people to learn about you. And it's very important in today's digital age to have a website. To have a website where people can look at who you are, read about what you do, find out if they have a connection with you in some form or fashion, because we all do it. We all get online and we search for products. We search for people that are experts in an area, and you feel by looking at their website and by reading about them if you have a connection in some sort of fashion with that person. Without one, there's no connection. We live in a digital world. And so when you put all this together, when you put your home base together, and you put these three platforms on it, you think about now, what's the role of social media in selling? How does it all fit together? Well, think about it. What I just told you, you're not really selling with social media. What you're doing is you're communicating. Social media isn't a place for insurance agents to just sit out there and just hammer. It's a place to communicate goodwill. It's a place, once again, to communicate education. It's not a popularity contest to talk about how great you are. It's not a place to broadcast only your marketing message. You're not paying for impressions here. You're trying to showcase why you're a person of value and what you sell and what you offer. You're the only person that can do it, or you're one of the best that is doing it. So remember this. Don't constantly pound your message. Don't constantly pound a tag phrase. What you want to do is provide a conversation. You want social media to be a conversation. You want to be the expert. You want to be the low-cost way to get out there and be the baseline of education and information for the people that you're connected with and the ones that you want to connect with. Just be the source. Be the MSN. You're there. You're providing information, and it's all good. And what people are reading, they find value in it. They're going to push it on to others. If all you're doing is talking about why they need to buy this and why they need to buy it from you over and over again, it's going to get a little old. But if you can position that with articles that support products that you sell, or videos from YouTube that support the reason that they should be considering buying some of these products, then you become an information highway. You become a place for a conversation. Then they can take that conversation and build trust with it, and then they build trust with you. It's a way to stay in people's minds and to continue building trust. You know, you just really need to figure out how you meet the needs of your community. How can you take the best of what you have to offer and put it out there? And figure out how you're going to do it, which platform you're going to do it on, and then the frequency that you're going to do it. You know, to build an audience, you got to remember frequency is key. You can't just come out with one great statement and then disappear. You want to come out with your information, and you want to have frequency to it. So whether it's once a day, once a week, once a month, have some frequency to what you're going to say, have some strategy to how you're going to say it and how it's going to bring value to them, and then go for it and log what's happening. Watch how many followers you're getting. Watch how many people are retweeting your tweets, and watch how many friends that you're building on Facebook, because you'll be surprised, because every time you get one friend, trust me, you're going to get more because of the friends that are connected to them. It is a social network, and if you become social on it and bring some value to the social aspects of the network, your brand will build with it, and so will your business. Aaron?
Okay. So a lot of information here. We talked about how social media changes selling and this idea of your customers controlling your message. And Jonas has talked about the different social networks and how they differ, but also really how you need to engage people in a relationship as opposed to pushing out your message. Then this is a lot to take in. And so what I wanted to do as the last thing today is just give you all a very concrete approach you can use when you go onto LinkedIn, you go onto Facebook, and you go onto Twitter to make sure that you are engaging your community in a way that's going to grow relationships. And so we have this thing that we call the 3-2-1 approach, which is an approach to sharing on social networks. It gives you an idea of what to share and how to share it so that you know you're going to connect with your audience. You know that you're going to resonate with your prospects and your customers so that they look at you as a person who shares their values and shares their needs and is aligned with them. And when they see you in that way, they will become your advocate. And you then get the right to talk about what you sell, and they will take that message out to their community for you. So this 3-2-1 approach. Now, at its core, what we're looking to do is keep you from being like this person, Car Insurance USA, where you're just pushing out your message. This is not what we want. And so instead, what we're going to do is use this approach to guide how we share content on the social networks. And here's how it works. Jonas talked about frequency. So if you want to, let's say you want to interact with your social networks once a day. On those interactions, what you're going to look at is 3 different categories of the kinds of things you can share. The first of which is what you sell, the products, the types of insurance that you offer. And we'll think of that as kind of the one time. And so for every one time that you talk about what you sell, you want to have 2 times where you talk about the bigger reason of why your customers need it. And so you might sell a product, you might sell life insurance. Your customers need it because they want to protect their family, protect their kids in case anything ever happens to them. They want to make sure their kids have a home to live in, have money to pay for college, those sorts of things. So you can talk about kids, you can talk about saving for college and protecting your home. That's the 2. And then 3 is the bigger reason of what your customers care about and what they have in common. So what is the community that defines them? what brings them together, what kinds of things do they have interest in overall. And I'll walk through an example so you can see this in a much more concrete way. So let's imagine that you are a life insurance agent in Evanston, Illinois. So you sell life insurance, you sell to people in Evanston, Illinois, that's your community. So let's talk about the kinds of things you might share via social networks using this 3-2-1 approach. So starting with the one, what you sell is life insurance. And so you can pretty quickly go out and get some information about life insurance that you can share. This is your product information. You probably have it on your own website. This is what you see people do already. And so we'll see things like, get life insurance, learn about life insurance, tips for buying life insurance. Do you need a quote on life insurance? These are product-focused messages about what you offer. And obviously, if you came out and just shared these things, you are not engaging your community in a conversation. You are pushing your own agenda. And so we want to mix this in with the other things. So we're going to add 2, which is, why do your customers want life insurance? Well, they want to protect their families. They want to save for their kids' college and make sure there's money if anything ever happens to them, etc. We know the reasons of why we buy life insurance. And so we can add in information about families, colleges, those sorts of things 2 times as often as our own products. And this is what it now looks like. So we're going to add in 3 tips for saving for college, 5 stages of retirement planning, a tax to-do list, contests to help start college savings accounts, the top 10 fastest growing home markets. And so you can see that what we've done is we've broadened the interest level of the kinds of things that we're sharing so that we're now engaging our customers around the needs they have as opposed to around the products that we offer. And this will help align them with you to be somebody who meets these needs. And by the way, all of the things I'm showing here, I just went on to Google News and very quickly was able to find, in the matter of a few minutes, these are real headlines from real stories that were available to share. And so that's why. Now the third is their interests of what they have in common. So in Evanston, Illinois, the people I sell to, their families, they're interested in information about Evanston, what's happening in the town. They're interested in the schools. They're interested in the community. They're interested in regional travel, maybe family vacations. And so if I go and I add messages around their interests, we now have things like 10 weekend getaways in Wisconsin, the Evanston High School football schedule. Evanston City Council approves new farmers market, Evanston openings, spring openings for restaurants, summer travel, camping with kids. And so you can see that suddenly this list of things I'm sharing has become fairly diverse. And if I am talking to, maybe it's a 42-year-old mother of 3 kids, and she's a candidate for life insurance, and she sees all of these things coming through my feed, she will feel that I'm somebody who's very aligned with her needs overall, very much somebody part of her community, very much somebody who has her best interests in mind, looking at the bigger picture, and I will engage her, not just around my product that I'm trying to sell, but in really a wider relationship, so that when it does come time for her to look to get an insurance quote, she will already see me as somebody who is aligned with her needs. And so this is the 3-2-1 approach. For every 1 time you talk about your product, make sure you have 2 times to talk about why people would need that product, and 3 times about the interests that your customers have in common. If you follow this approach, it will make sure you're engaging people properly on social media, and it will also give you topics to go out and share so that you always have something to talk about that you know is going to work with your community. So I really encourage you to apply this to your social media strategy. It's easy to do, and it really does benefit your relationships and your community overall. So one last thing, some do's and don'ts on building relationships on social media. First, the do's. You want to make sure you connect people around their interests, so you figure out what they care about, and you talk about that. Talk about, promote, and help others. So if there's a way for you to mention one of your friends or to mention a relationship you have, to share their success, to share their story, to promote them, do that, because people we know love to hear people talk about themselves. And third is you want to find your voice and your niche. You want to really zero in on what it is that your customers care about, what your niche is. and really communicate about that. Don't, as Jonas mentioned, this is not a place to oversell. Don't just promote yourself or push your agenda. Don't be like that car insurance Twitter account I showed you. Flood the channel with outbound marketing messages. That just doesn't work. It gets you unfollowed, unfriended, unsubscribed, close out of the conversation. And finally, don't think your audience cares about insurance as much as you do. It's all we talk about every day, but our customers only think about it in very, very small parts of their life. And so you have to find other ways to engage them besides insurance. So some key takeaways before I wrap up. Social media is a new way to market. The game has changed. Make sure that you have accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Please go create them. Even if you're not going to use them all today, you want to get started, start building out your followers, your friends, your connections, so that when you are ready to go, that's already set up. This is not a conversation, or this is a conversation. It's not a broadcast. And finally, use the 3-2-1 approach to align what you do on social networks with the needs of your community. So that's what I've got. With that, let me pass it back to Mike, who I think has a few more things to wrap up with.
I do. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Jonas. We're going to talk for a minute here about our online marketing program called the Connected Agent. We've had this out for a little while. We have a fair chunk of the folks that we work with, that we are helping through this program. I would encourage you all strongly to go out to aimagentsites.com and take a look at this program. Basically, Aaron and Jonas primarily, have worked to create this online digital marketing platform. It utilizes not only web resources, but it utilizes the social media tools that we've just been talking about to help you, to put you in a position to be where people are looking for help, to be out there so that when the things that you hear about the number of people who are looking online for things, you become a part of that new community, that expansion of how business is taking place on a regular basis. We routinely do demonstration webinars on this. We'll have one on the docket for February. I think it's on tap for February 14th, so you could see more about it then, but there's no reason to wait. You can go ahead and go out to that site. You can get some of the basic information. We might be able to answer a couple questions you have. You can get yourself started on this thing within a day or so, and the financial commitment is pretty much non-existent. It's nothing to speak of, and the potential for return is significant there. So it's a new way to do things. It's literally an online business card, a little bit like what Jonas talked about. Significant opportunity that we're making available to our agents. And the best part is, if you're writing business with us on a regular basis, the site essentially is free after the first 6 months after we do the setup and everything. So go take a look at that, aimagentsites, all one word, .com. And if you have more questions about it, feel free to give us a call here at AIM. 800-672-7202 is our number. And I think, unless we've got another slide, I don't think we do, Aaron, that wraps up the presentation portion of what we're going to do here. And now we're going to go ahead and unmute folks so that we can take questions. We've got a couple folks. Wilson Iverson, you did not hit the 2-digit PIN code, so we cannot unmute you to take questions. Everybody else out there, we are in the process of doing that. Jamie, I know you're out there. I always like to catch you off guard with a question. What did you think about the opportunity presented by social media here to help you move your business forward?
I think it's a great idea, and I need to have some time to get started, so I'm going to push for that as my goal for February.
I like your thinking. All right. Any questions on what you saw today about how to use social media to advance what it is that you're trying to do with your business? Jensen, I know you're involved in some of the things that we're doing already. Talk a little bit about what you've been trying to do within the social media framework. I know you're part of the Connected Agent program as it stands now. Talk a little bit about what you're doing. I know it's kind of been in fits and starts, but share a little bit of that experience with our folks, if you would, please.
Well, I got a website there and had a lot of help from AIM, especially Travis, getting different links for getting a quote. And also, I wrote a number of articles, like on pricing, on qualification, value, need for long-term care and critical illness. Put them on there. I think they're very informative. Usually they're 1 page, 4 or 5 paragraphs long. So I'm very pleased with that. At this point, I'm trying to get more and more, as many people as I can, of course, to go to my website, to read that information. And that's where I'm not having success. To get something going visually and in paper, to go to my website, I put an ad in senior newsletters, I put an ad in senior pages, of course I network. So I think, and I have LinkedIn and Facebook, I think I need to go in there and try and emphasize, as we talked about this morning, conversation, so that clients, potential clients, will go to my website and read the articles and find that appealing enough and interesting enough that they'll contact me, and then I can speak to them directly.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Anybody else with questions out there? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here as we near 10 minutes to the hour. Again, we have been recording this, so if you want to circle back and catch up with any piece of it that you want to kind of reiterate in your mind, we'll have the recorded version of the website posted online here within an hour or two of the conclusion of things. So any other questions? Okay, well, sounds like not. We'll circle back here in a second. I do want to thank Jonas and Aaron for their time here this morning. As always, gentlemen, we appreciate you helping us out with this new sort of wild west of what we're doing in the insurance business. And we'll do one more ask for questions. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and shut everything down. So, any final questions? Okay. Aaron, Jonas, thanks. Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk again sooner rather than later, I'm sure. Everybody have a great day. Go Seahawks.
Thank you.
Bye.